This is the North. It's Fractal Design's new 130
and it's gone.
Welcome to product reviews in 2022, I guess. Looking to grab Windows at a crazy discount? Head over to scdkey.com at the links below and use promo code BPS25 at checkout to score a sweet deal on Windows 10, Windows 11, and Microsoft Office. Once you've completed your purchase, just click over to your user center, hit the green button to view your code, copy and paste it into your Windows activation settings, and away you go. Check out SCDKey at the links in the video description for Windows, Office, games, and more. This is in fact not the first time that you've seen this case on this channel, although you probably didn't know it. About a month ago, I rebuilt my editing PC into this case. Although at the time, what I wanted to do was put it into an O11 Air Mini because this had just arrived and was not released yet. However, that didn't work out. I built inside of this system and I've been dying to talk to you guys about it ever since. This is the Fractal North. You can get it in this white version with oak front, either in TG or mesh, or you can get it in a black version with a walnut front, either in TG or mesh. Now, originally Fractal sent me over this case in a mesh version. That means it has a fully mesh side panel and it also comes with fan brackets that you could use to blow air directly onto your GPU. I asked them if they could also send me over a TG side panel just so I could see the difference. And to be honest with you, I didn't notice a whole lot of temperature difference, and I just really like the TG sitting on my desk. It looks absolutely outstanding. One of the things that appealed to me about the North was its footprint. It's not an overly large case. Last week, I built in the Phanteks G500A, and while I like that case quite a bit, it is enormous in comparison and fits basically the same kind of hardware. It's a ATX mid-tower. You could fit an ATX motherboard, a full-size graphics card, a full-size power supply in both of the cases, although this one might be a little more difficult if you were to go with something like a water cooling setup. Of course, the standout feature of the North is the real wood used on the front panel. On the white cases, you get oak, and on the black cases, you get walnut. Now, this isn't Fractal's first foray into using wood in their cases. In fact, a couple years ago, we took a look at the Fractal Era ITX. The problem with that case is that Fractal chose to use a solid piece of wood as a top panel. Now, when you think about it, most of the air that's escaping from this hot box is going to come out the top just due to physics and thermodynamics. When you put a solid piece of wood there, that creates problems. And that's what happened with the Era ITX. It had terrible thermals. I think Fractal has learned their lesson, and now we get slats instead of a solid wood pane. You still retain that very elegant and different look that you get with a premium case, but you don't restrict the airflow coming in because this is where I have my 360mm radiator. In addition to that wood panel, almost every edge and finish is either chamfered or curved or tapered in some way that gives the North a really unique appearance when you look at it from almost every angle. Now, behind that wood front panel, you do get two included 140mm Fractal fans, which I have chosen to replace with Lian Li Unifans blowing through an NZXT 360mm all-in-one liquid cooler. This is the only place that you can put an AIO of this size. The top has mounts for two 120 or two 140mm fans, and the back has a mount for a single 120, but the only place that you can put an AIO of this size is actually up front. The placement hasn't caused me any problems at all, and thermally, this case has actually been excellent. As you guys can see, load temperatures here are rock solid, and even when under a full load, and for me that usually means editing or exporting in Adobe Premiere, I haven't seen temperatures for either the CPU or the GPU really peak anywhere over the low to mid 60s. For a system that features an i9-13900K and an RTX 4090, that is impressive. I will say though that with the case being fairly compact, at least lengthwise, I only had one option when using this graphics card if I wanted to put the AIO at the front. I had to mount the fans on the outside of the bracket, meaning that the only thing that's on the inside is the radiator itself. Because the front mesh is so open, again, this hasn't caused any issues at all. The only thing that I did have to compromise on was a little bit of aesthetics, as I now don't get the full RGB-ness of my fans shining into the inside of my case as I might otherwise. The front I/O is definitely, let's call it, adequate. I don't have any complaints here, as we get one USB-C, two USB-A, and separate headphone and mic jacks, along with a very premium looking and feeling clicky power button. I do appreciate a good clicky button. The interior of the case features high quality feeling grommets and cutouts for cable pass-through on the right edge, but the only complaint that I have really about building in this case is that it only has one cutout at the top for passing cables through on top of the motherboard. This didn't end up being really a huge issue. I was able to get everything through there just fine. But I would have liked to see maybe one other cutout a little bit further to the right, maybe above the memory slots, because a lot of cables from the CPU cooler pass through in this area, and instead I had to route them around the heatsink to the cutout that's above the EPS cables. Now I'm gonna show you a couple pictures from behind the motherboard tray. I don't want to take my back panel off right now, because when I built this system, I didn't pay a whole lot of attention to cable management because I was on a deadline for a video. So it's kind of a mess, and if I take the back panel off, it's not really going to represent what you could really do with this system. But just know that this has a huge power supply in it, along with cable extensions, RGB fans, a controller, and all that, and I didn't have any problems fitting everything in the back panel. There is plentiful space back there, especially if you pay a little more attention than I did. And then for some reason, one of my favorite little features here is this small leatherette strap at the back of the top panel that you can use to pull to remove it. I don't know why it's one of my favorite features. It's just a nice little touch that color matches actually the front wood. On the black versions with the walnut, you get a darker, small little leatherette strap, and I think that's just kind of cool. Now, while this wasn't the most thorough review of the Fractal North, I wanted to give you my perspective from somebody that's actually been using this case for a month. It's awesome. This is my case of the year. It was easy to build in. It looks really unique, especially with this wood front panel. And you get some really good aesthetics, and temperatures are great. I am having difficulty finding significant flaws here, especially for the price. Again, $130 for this is pretty special. I guess the biggest flaws maybe are that because it is a fairly open design, especially when you have the mesh side panel on, it is slightly noisier than average, but I really haven't noticed it at all. My fan curves are pretty much under control, and to be honest, when everything is idling, it's completely silent. It's only when I start to export a video or something that I even hear the fans, and it's not that bad. Maybe also the fact that the top cutouts for the cable pass-throughs above the motherboard could be a little bit different. But man, this is a great, great product. And Fractal, you really hit the nail on the head here. So that is it for my rather abbreviated review of the Fractal North. What do you guys think? Let me know down below in the comments. Hopefully it does come back into stock fairly soon, as I think this is definitely a case that a lot of people are going to be interested in, and a lot of people should build with. It's pretty awesome. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time.